Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Molly and I do book content here on YouTube. Today is a hot day. To preface, I have my window open, so if you're hearing things, screaming, people doing stuff in their garden, it's because the window's open and the children screaming are actually okay. They are not being murdered, despite how it sounds sometimes. But yes, I'm here today to do my June wrap up already. I can't believe it. I honestly don't know where the year goes. Honestly, how are we 6 months into the year when we reach June? I have no idea, but we are, so there we go. I'm just going to get straight into it because I have quite a bit to talk about. I have a few monthly readathons, a couple of summer challenges, and obviously my yearly challenges. So got a lot to get through today. If I can't tell if my t-shirt looks wet, I just put cold water on my face, so if I look wet, that's why. And if my hair looks a mess, it's because of the sweat. Yay. For context, in the UK we are currently having a heat wave. It's currently, well, not currently right now, but the past couple of days it's been like early 30 degrees Celsius, like 32, 33. I think that's like late 80s in Fahrenheit, I think. So yes, it has been hot. And yeah, lovely. So if I don't look great, that's why. I have tried, okay? I've tried to look half decent at least, but I do apologise if I don't look great. I don't feel it. I do not like the hot weather. But anyway, let's ignore that and let's just get into what I'm hoping to read in June. So I'm going to do the usual. I'm going to start with my yearly challenges and go from there. The first yearly challenge that I have on in my trusty notebook is Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge, and for June it is a book that has a title of 5 or more words. And the one that I have decided to pick is obviously, actually it's not too bad. I have a few that on my list that I can probably use, but the one I'm going to go for is As Sure as the Dawn by Francine Rivers, because this also counts for a couple of other readathons and read-alongs, so I'm using this. This is book 3 in the Mark of the Lion trilogy. This will mainly follow a treatise who we see in the first book. Don't see him in book 2 though. So yeah, I'm excited to see his story and hopefully his journey to Jesus. You will find that there's going to be quite a few books being doubled up. That's what I like to do. I'm a slow reader. This TBR is large for me already, so yeah. The next one is Katie's Christian Fiction Challenge. I'm not quite sure what I'll go for. I will probably go for historical, and I'll probably use Francine Rivers for that. I also have the Juliet Code, which is also historical, but it's also a mystery, so I might use it for mystery, or I might not. And then I also have Where Would I Be? Spoiler for coming haul, so I could always use this for fantasy and also historical, but mainly fantasy. I'm sure you can tell by the popularity around it. And I also have another spoiler, Ariadne and the Legend of the Fire Rose, also a Christian fiction that I might use. So I have a few different options. We'll have to see what books I get to and what I decide to do. So the next one is Cheryl from Candlewick Library and her Jurassic Reading Challenge, and for June it is Water, and I have a few options for that. There actually only really one, and that is My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. Because, you know, water on the cover. That's also a thriller, by the way. I don't know too much about it. The next one is Anne from It's Such a Wonder and her Reading the Classics Challenge. And for June, it is set in the USA. I have a few different ones I can probably use for that. But the ones... Yeah, so the one I'm going to use, I have a few options for it. I'm not sure which book I will do. Does it have to be... No, it doesn't have to be fiction. So, spoiler for a readathon going on in June. I have a few books that are specifically about America. So I have How the Irish Won the American Revolution by Philip Thomas Tucker. The Schoolmaster's Daughter, which is a fiction by John Smolens, I think is how you say his name. And The First Salute by Barbara W. Tuchman. The first and last one are both non-fiction, and as I'm sure you can tell about the theme of the first book, they are all to do with the American Revolution in the 1770s. So all of those are set in the USA because they're about the American Revolution, so I'll use either one of those. I'm not sure which. Okay, the next one is Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails and her Read with Winnie the Pooh challenge. As of filming, I haven't completed the book that I was thinking of reading for this challenge, which was Head in the Cloud by Cameron Whittemire. That would have been for the Grumpy Sunshine prompt, because the romance is Grumpy Sunshine. So I'm not sure what I will do, but so far I have that still. But I also have the prompt character to do with food, and also a book you had to put on hold. So we'll see what happens with those. Then I have Alma from Alma's Book Journey, and for her Journey Through the Time Historical Fiction Challenge, we are doing World War I or World War II for June. And I am going with this book that someone from church has let me borrow, the same one I've read a couple of other books from. Actually, just one. Again, that was World War II. But this one is actually World War I. And this is The Librarians of Rue de Picardy, or Rue de Picardy. I can't say it. I think it's French. And this is by Janet Skesley and Charles. I don't know how to pronounce her middle name. But she's the author who did The Paris Library, which I have heard of. And this is dual timeline, so it's set in World War I in 1918 and also in 1987. So yeah, that should be interesting. It's based on either a real situation or real people or both, I'm not sure. So yeah, should be good or interesting. It's a lot shorter than the last one, which is always what I want. The next one is Oceana's Read Christian Romance Challenge, and there's a few I can use for this and a few prompts I can do. I can do over 350 pages, I can do recommended, probably dual POV I can probably do, and that's it. And obviously those of you who know your Christian fiction, you will know which books I am going to show you quickly. So we've got Ariadne and the Legend of the Fire Rose. I have Wormwood Abbey. I forgot to say the author, by the way, and that's Christina Bear, or Bear. The Juliet Code by Pepper Basham, and As Sure as the Dawn by Francine Rivers. And also Oceana is doing the Francine Rivers read along, and June is the third Mark of the Line book. So this also counts for that. I'll get there. I haven't been able to do any of her books for the read along, but hopefully I'll do that this month. And then, oh, I forgot to look into this. I have Kat from Cat Stories, her biblical reading and retelling challenge. And for June, it is letter. So I'm planning to read one of the letters in the New Testament. Not sure which yet. Because I forgot to have a look and have a think. But what I'll do is, hopefully I'll have decided by the time I'm editing this. So I'll write down which book I am planning to read. Or should I say more accurately, which letter. So those are all my yearly challenges that I am doing. Let's get into my monthly readathons because I have a few. But what I'll do is I'll probably do my summer based ones first that are more than just a month, and then we'll go into my actual June ones. Quick drink first. This first 3 monthly one, I'm not going to go into too much because I have done a special video for this, and this is Chantel's Passport to Summer Reading Challenge. This is taking place from the 1st of June to the 31st of August. So this will be June, July and August. Now, a few of the books in that video I mentioned are in my collection of books for this month, as you will have seen. So I'm going to tell you which ones I'm going to hopefully plan to do for this month and go from there. So the obvious one, which also coincides with Chantel's reading challenge, is As Sure as the Dawn by Francine Rivers. I picked this for the same prompt that Chantel has for her summer reading challenge, which is a 5-word title. So I'm doing that one. Then I have also picked up the book for Country, and that is the Juliet Code by Pepper Basham, book 3 in the Freddie and Grace mystery series. This is Christian. Most of you who watch my videos will know who's Christian and who isn't in terms of books, but Francine Rivers is also historical Christian fiction, more like biblical, ancient history, sort of historical, and then the Juliet Code is just general historical mystery, and I think this is set in like the early 1900s, not sure which, yeah, it doesn't say, but yeah, this is book 3, so I can't really talk much about it. Not that I ever really do with my books. But this is supposed to be set during Freddie and Grace's honeymoon that they haven't been able to go on yet. So that's that one. And then I also have the Water Prompt for Chantel's Summer Reading Challenge. My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney, which is what I picked for that. So I have that one. And then I also have one that I might use instead. So in my video, I was talking about Fourth Wing for the prompt Wings, because it has dragons in it, and obviously dragons have wings. However, because of a different readathon, which I will talk about, that includes dragons as a prompt, I'm picking Rome with Abby by Christina Bayer, book 1 in the Secrets of Ormdale series, because it has dragons in it and obviously wings. I'm thinking I might replace Fourth Wing with this one, so then I'm not having to worry about doubling up. However, I am tempted to try Fourth Wing anyway, because I want to like get Fourth Wing over with and decide whether to keep it or not. So I'm not quite sure yet. I might replace that book with this. I'm not sure. And I think that's it. Yeah, for the possible prompts I'm doing for the Passport Summer Reading Challenge that Chantel's doing. So that is that one. And then the next one, oh, I forgot to check who the other person is. Lindsay from Lindsay's Little Library, who I watch, and a friend of hers who is also on BookTube, I think. And I can't remember her name now. I apologise. Hopefully I'll have checked and written it down for you in my little thing. They are also doing a summer challenge thing. It's more dice rolls, kind of like a board, and so I might try and do that during these next 3 months. Some of them aren't necessarily ones I can do with my books for my TBR, but I don't know. So we'll see about that. I'm tentatively possibly going to do that. It's called Roll Your Next Read, by the way. But I'm not 100% sure I'll do that yet. We'll see. So, those are the multiple month readathon challenges that I am hopefully taking part in. Now let's get into the specifically June ones. So the first one is A Picnic in June, and this is created and hosted by Lucy from Lucy Chronicles. But she also has some co-hosts, and that is Jamie from The Canton Reader, Kay from Kay's Library, Jamie from Read Brucey, Jamie Gordy. She's not on YouTube, she's on Instagram, but she watches YouTube, obviously, well, not necessarily obviously, but she does watch YouTube, and she's often on Lucy's lives, as a, like, commenter who watches the live. And also Lindsay from Lindsay Lou Lemus, who is also only on Instagram, not YouTube. So, A Picnic in June is based on their birthdays and Lucy's birthday, because all of them had their birthdays in June. So they're doing like a birthday readathon that lasts all month. And as the title, A Picnic in June suggests, it's based on picnics. And the way they've done it is it's like a game board, kind of. I'm not quite sure, but either way, there's questions, prompts for the questions, and like an explanation of those prompts, so then you can pick a book. So the questions are: where are you going? What setting? What animals you see whilst on a picnic? What book you're bringing? And where else you're going? And then there's also a bonus prompt. So, I don't know whether to go through all the prompts. I will obviously link all of the ladies down below, like I always do. Obviously I can't link Jamie, Gordy and Lindsay, because they don't have, like, well, technically they do, they have an account, but they don't upload onto YouTube. So I'm not quite sure how to tag them, but either way, you'll be able to go and see Lucy's video explaining everything. The books have to be clean or Christian, so do be aware of that, and you can't double up, because how they've done it is each question has all of the ladies having their own prompts for that question. So, for example, where are you going? Hang on, I think I've done the wrong question. That can't be right. I think I might have done the wrong question, but anyway, there's 5 prompts, and one of them is to do with food. So, they've each picked different ones. So, like, Lindsay has picked pasta, Jamie Gordy picked chocolate, Lucy pickles, Jamie, the canteen reader, potatoes, and Kay picked baked goods. And each of those different foods have a different prompt. So the one I picked was Jamie Gordy's one, which is chocolate. And that prompt is a sweet story or a book that is about making chocolate. So then you have to pick a book for that. And you have to pick a different person for each prompt as well, and a different prompt for each one. So you can't repeat the same person. It has to be a different person. So, yeah. I can't remember the correct question. I think I've done the wrong one, because the question I wrote on here, okay, I did shorthand, so it's not the whole question. I put, where are you going? But it's all food. Pasta, chocolate, pickles. I think I might have written the wrong question for that one. That's on me. But anyway, don't know what to do with myself. So yeah, one of these books I'm actually not sure about and if it's clean. I'm hoping it is. And one of the questions I found quite difficult, but that's fine. So, for the first question about food, I picked Jamie Gordy, as I said, which is chocolate, and that is a sweet read, or about chocolate. And I ended up going for, okay, this is the one where I'm not sure, and I'm kind of like, just, I don't know what the word is. Okay, I'm just stretching the question here, and I picked The Librarians of Rue de Picard, by Janet Skesley and Charles. I'm struggling today with names, because from the back it sounds like it could be a sweet story, I mean, it also, I mean, a lot of these books are applicable for doubling up if that was a thing. So some of them you might think, well, that's not going to be that, that's going to be this one. And I'm like, I know. But I'm hoping it's also has that because it sounds sweet. Because it's, I don't know, man. Okay. I'm clutching at straws here. I don't really know, but it sounds like it could be a sweet story despite the difficulties that will be faced most likely in the World War I timeline. Yeah, and I'm expecting there to be sweet moments. So, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, the next one is what setting, and I picked Lindsay's prompt for this one, which was a cool temperature. And for that one is a chilling read. So from what Lucy said, she means chilling. I decided to go for, I was going to go for an ebook, but because they have to be clean, if they're not Christian, I couldn't. And also the other thriller that I've talked about, I can't use that either. Secular thrillers, I'm going to assume they're not clean, at the very least because of swearing. So I ended up going for As Sure as the Dawn by Francine Rivers because I'm expecting there to be some sort of chilling aspect to these, either through experiences or other things. So I'm hoping this will fit for that one. The next one is what animals did you see or do you see? And I picked Kay, and her prompt for that is foxes, and that is to read a book with a character who has red hair. And I have realised since picking my books that I actually have 2 books I can use for that, but I'm not going to use this one. She has red hair. I'm not using that though. I am going to use The Juliet Code by Pepper Basham. You can't really tell very well on the cover, but you can sort of see there's a little bit of sort of like an auburn sort of hair. The main character, Grace, she is ginger, she has red hair, so I am going for this one. The next one is What Book Did You Bring? And I picked Jamie from the Canton Reader, and her prompt was Dragon Fantasy. And as I'm sure you can guess, I picked Wormwood Abbey. Spoiler, there are dragons. So I picked this one. This is Christian fiction as well, and it's been a long-awaited book to read. It's very popular, and it's very short. Okay, where else are you going? And I picked Lucy from Lucy Chronicles, and I picked a book that I'm not actually sure I'm going to finish in June, but I'm going to try. I picked the Iliad by Homer. I picked this for music because the music prompt has to have a musical element or character who's musical. And I would say this has both because the Iliad is a poem and a lot of that is like spoken word and can be quite musical, some of them. So I am using this as musical or has musical elements specifically. I hope you agree that this counts, Lucy. If not, I do not have anything. I will find something. That's fine. It's not an issue. But I'm already hoping to try and look at this month, so yes. Okay, and then, as I briefly mentioned earlier, there is a bonus prompt for this readathon, and that is Birthday Girl. And what you do is to pick a book from any of the co-hosts' Goodreads or favourite books, anything like that, like videos or Instagram posts, etc. And to pick one of their favourite books or 5-star books and to read it. And I picked this book from Jamie from the Canton Reader because she mentioned it and I was like, I have been meaning to get this for a while. And I think those of you who will have seen me talk about it will probably know which book I'm talking about because there's only one other book that I have been wanting to read for a while and still have not been able to get to. And that is Ariadne and the Legend of the Fire Rose, because Jamie mentioned this in her video that she did about some of the books that she recommends us to read for that prompt if we pick her. And I was like, well, there we go. I've been meaning to read this book for ages. I've literally had it on TBRs. Those of you who've watched my videos will know that. So I was like, this is a good excuse to put it back on my TBR and to try and actually read it this time. So I'm hoping to read this for my bonus prompt. And that is all for the readathon. I do apologise if they're not completely clean, specifically with the World War One, because she's secular. I'm hoping that this is clean. I don't know. We live in hope. So the next one is a themed readathon as well, and this is the Red, White and June readathon, and this is specifically based about the American Revolution. So this is being hosted by Shannon from Old American Spirit. I think she's like the creator, I think, but she has other co-hosts too, and that is Kelly from Kelly Reads a Lot, Morgan from Morgan's Endless Bookshelf, Taylor from Tales and Tweets with Tay, Cheryl from Candlewick Library, Anne from In Search of Wonder, and Bethany from Bethany Brings Books. So, what am I braining? I am British, I'm sure you can probably tell by the accent. I didn't really learn much, if anything, about the American Revolution. Not quite sure why, but we didn't, or at least we learnt so little that I don't even remember what we've learnt. And what I do know, I don't know if it's stuff I've learned from school or learnt since school through the internet. So I don't know. Either way, I don't know much anyway. So I have wanted to join in with this because it sounds like a great way of learning. So they have prompts, and what I'm mainly focusing on are just two of them. Mainly because, as you guys can see, my TBR is already big and I'm a slow reader. So what I'm doing is all of the books that I have picked for Red, White and June are 1, audiobooks, 2, I have 3, but I'm actually only planning really to read 2 of them. It's just I wasn't sure which one, 2 of them I wasn't quite sure which one I wanted to read, but they both sounded alright. All 3 were free on Audible, so I didn't have to pay anything or use a credit. So that was why I picked them as well. So, the prompts for this readathon are actually each of the hosts picked prompts. So there's the same amount of prompts for the same amount of people. I can't remember who did what prompt, but yeah. I will tell you what the prompts are. So the prompts are: read a fictional book set in the Revolutionary era, read a non-fiction about the Revolutionary era, read a book that has secrets or spies in it, read a book with loyalists or patriots, quill and parchment, which is about things like letters, stuff like that, faith that endures, which is, as that probably suggests, is to read a book that has some sort of faith in it, and then Courage and Petticoat, which is about women during the Revolutionary era joining in with whatever's going on, like with the spy work or whatever else, doing courageous things. So yes, I am mainly focusing on the fictional book set in the Revolutionary era and the non-fiction about the Revolutionary era, and then if I can double up on any of those prompts with those books, I will. So those are the 2 I'm specifically focusing on, and there's 2 other prompts that I know I can use with the books I've got just by looking at the books, not reading them. So the books that I have picked out are How the Irish Won the American Revolution by Philip Thomas Tucker. It sounded interesting. It sounded a bit more like not quite the typical sort of stuff you necessarily read about the American Revolution, and I thought that was interesting, so I picked that, and that is a non-fiction. And then we have The First Salute by Barbara W. Tuchman, also a non-fiction. That one is more typical American Revolution stuff. I think it's about one of the famous figures. I forget which one. I don't know. I've only looked at it once and I can't quite remember what it's about. But again, it sounded reasonably interesting. And then the fiction book that I picked out is The Schoolmaster's Daughter by John Smolens. Now, the thing with this one is I don't know about content. I don't know if it's clean. I recognise the title. I don't know if it's the same book I've heard people talk about because of this readathon, or if it's a different book with the same name, like it's by a different author. I'm not sure. So I don't know about content for this book, or if it's any good. But it's a fictional book set during this era, so that ticks that prompt for me. Also, because it's called Schoolmaster's Daughter, it has the coat and petticoat because daughter. She is like the main character, and I do know from what I've read of the blurb, she is involved in some spy work and some secrecy stuff, which means that book also fits for the secrets and spies prompt. So those are the ones I know I'm going to fulfill if I read these books, and we'll go from there with the content. So those are the American Revolution books and readathon, so that should be interesting. I'm also doing, I'm going to try and do the Slice of Life readathon, which is being hosted by Tiffany from Beach Bum Bookworm, and also Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books. And it's just 6 prompts. So we have Slice of Life readathon is, as it sounds, books that are kind of slice of lifey. So the prompts are Morning Has Broken, and that is a book that has dawn or morning in the title, or a setting of either like a diner or breakfast setting, and I assume not through the whole book. Then 2, we have Keeping House, and that is like a daily life, cozy life sort of book. With work or school, stuff like that. And then 3, there's Tea Time, which is a book that has social events or tea party / tea shop setting. 4 is Homecoming, and that is a book that has, a character returning home or having home visits, school or family reunion, stuff like that. 5 is Afternoon Stroll, and that is to have nature or outdoor activities. And then 6 is Winding Down, and that is a book that has like dates or, like people going on a date, movies, game night, stargazing, evening scenes, or to have the word night in the title. So I'm hoping to try and do that with some of these books that are sort of slice of lifey. So maybe with this one, might be slice of lifey. I'm especially thinking maybe Wormwood Abbey, because that just gives me slice of life sort of vibes with the fantasy, certainly with the first book. And then I think this is a bit of a stretch, but I also thinking of As Sure As the Dawn, because the word dawn is in the title, and it is going through people's lives, so it is technically slice of life in that way because it's historical. But it's not necessarily relaxing necessarily if it's anything like the other 2 books. So we'll have to see. I'm not quite sure about this one. But yeah. So I'm kind of slightly participating in that. I'm not sure how well I'll do. But that is all the readathons. So I did want to say that Anne from In Search of Wonder is doing a kind of like a read-along sort of thing. She is wanting to read the book, How to Read a Book. It's basically on how to read fiction, how to read books well, that sort of thing. And it's actually been a book that's been on my Amazon wishlist for a while that I've been wanting to read. Again, spoiler for book haul. Actually, along with this book. Anyway, so I decided I also wanted to do it because I want I have been wanting to read this book too. I bought How to Read a Book, which is by Mortimer J. Adler and Charles Van Doren. And yeah, I got it second hand, which is why it looks a bit wonky, but that's fine. I don't really mind. There may even be notes in this, although on a flip through I'm not actually seeing any, so I think it is just a bit yellowed and a bit crinkled, which is fine. And even if it was annotated, that would be fine too. I think she's only going through it for the month of June, so I'm going to have to double check how much each week we're reading of the book. She did say in her video, but I've forgotten. So I'm hoping to read through this. And she said we could also use it with a fiction book that we want to kind of read well. And it's typically classics, let's be honest, but obviously it doesn't have to be. But to kind of put what we learn into practice kind of thing. The book I wanted to do for that is The Iliad by Homer. Spoiler, this is one of my newer books as well. So again, spoiler for my haul. So I have, if any of you have seen a few of my videos, I have technically already read this. I listened to it on audio along with The Odyssey. I did it in the wrong order, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest. So yeah, I want to read this because like I said with Pride and Prejudice, I have struggled with understanding classics, especially on audio, just because of the way they're written a lot, and just in general with this one as well. It's just this sort of it's not special classic, but very classical classic. Is very much that sort of writing that isn't necessarily easy to know, or you can get kind of bogged down in the weeds sort of thing. So I was hoping to do this with How to Read a Book. So we'll see how well I do. Hopefully I'll finish this in June, but the Iliad, I'm not sure. We will have to see, because as you know, I mentioned I'm using this for the Picnic in June readathon. So we'll have to see. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping to read anyway in June. I could say April then. So yeah, that is everything. That's what I'm hoping to read in June. Slightly scared, if I'm not gonna lie. It's quite the big TBR. But there we go. I may swap the physical books out for audio depending on the book. I won't for the Iliad for definite. But certainly the other books, if I can get them without having to pay for them, I might do that instead, depending on how I am. So yeah, we'll have to see. But I hope you enjoyed watching. Let me know, what are you planning to read in June? Are you doing any of the readathons I mentioned? Obviously the yearly challenges, let me know if you're doing any of those. And are you hoping to kind of study kind of the How to Read a Book with Anne? Let me know. And if you're reading a book to go with that, let me know what that book is as well. And yeah, I think that's basically it. I don't have anything else to tell you. Let me know what you're hoping to read in June, and I will see you all next week. Love you all, and God bless. Bye.